And we will pay homage to the Buddha by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Today we are going to talk about the recollections of Deva. As we have explained in our previous Dhamma talk, we have already finished recollection of Buddha's quality, Dhamma's quality, Sangha's quality, morality, and generosity. But today we have to talk about divine qualifications or divine qualities of human being. So in the slides, we have already mentioned about recollection of Deva. The meditator should recollect his own special quality of faith. In Pali, we call satta. Morality, sila. Learning knowledge, sutta. Generosity, jaga. And wisdom, panya. So we have to recollect these 5 qualities where the deities standing as witness. So this is the first part we have to know. We should not misunderstand that recollection of Deva doesn't mean we must pay homage to Deva or pay respect to Deva. Actually, we must just recollect our own quality. Like Deva, we have some divine qualities. So we human beings cannot be good all the times. But from time to time, we also have divine qualities. So here I have a list. There are only 5 qualities of divine beings. Also, we also have these 5 qualities. Then we have to recall one of these 5. Okay, 1. Those deities were possessed of faith, such that on dying here and were born there, and such faith is imprisoned in me too. So this is the first part we have to explain. From time to time, we have very strong confidence, very strong faith in Buddha's teaching. So whenever we talk about faith or confidence, we have to remember the object of faith. For example, the Buddha's quality, Dhamma's quality, Sangha's quality. When we believe in the quality of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, this is also called faith. And not only that, if we have faith or if we believe in the benefits of 3 trainings, for example, when we observe the precepts, it will be really meaningful, valuable. Then when we practice meditation, it will be meaningful and beneficial. If we practice vipassana, it will be meaningful, beneficial. We have to believe in these 3 trainings and the benefit of 3 trainings. If we believe like this is called satta. Not only that, we must believe in karma ownership. We own our karma. Our karma is our own creator. If we believe in this kind of things, we call satta. So many of divine beings were born in Deva realms because of confidence, of faith. So when we have this kind of faith, we can recollect that kind of quality. As divine beings were born in Deva realms because of faith, and also have this kind of faith, we can recall it like that. Then 2, those deities were possessed of virtues such that on dying here and were born there, and such virtues is present in me too. This is called Sila, morality. Since we have already talked about morality very long times ago, also we have many different analyses of morality. That is why you can understand different quality of morality. We have already talked about last week. We already talked about it last week. So anyway, the main thing is morality. When we are virtuous, we can be reborn in the Deva realms. So many of deities or divine beings were born in Deva realms because of their morality. So we have to recollect our own virtues as divine beings have, and we are born in Deva realms because of morality. So the third one, those deities were process of learning Dhamma knowledge, such that on dying here, and we are born there, and such learning is present in me too. So here we have to talk about sutta in Pali. When we study in the Nikaya, we can find out about sutta. From time to time, many people also ask me about two Pali words, Panya and Sutta. What's the difference between these two? So when we go and read in the Nikaya, we can find the difference between these two. For example, Sutta. Sutta is only learning knowledge. It mentions if we can know one collections, two collections, three collections, or four collections, five collections, this is called learning knowledge. For example, we have long discourses of the Buddha. So if we can learn the long discourses of the Buddha, this is called Dika Nikaya, long collections of discourses, or one Nikaya. Similarly, we have middle discourses, and also connected discourses, gradual saying, or numerical discourses, or we have just small collections of discourses. So any of collections, if we can memorize, or if we can learn very well, this is called sutta. So especially here, when we have learned anything about Buddha's teaching, it will be useful for our practice. So we can use in our practice. Anyway, many divine beings also have Dhamma knowledge because they are more intelligent than human being, right? They can memorize better than human being. That is why they will remember many of Buddha's teaching. So when they were human being, they may have Dhamma knowledge, then they pass away, they can be reborn in the Deva realms. This is also one of the divine quality. So if we have learning knowledge, we can also recollect our quality as divine being have. Then 4, those deities were possessed of generosity such that on dying here, and we are born there, and such generosity is present in me too. This is the 4th quality. So generosity, we have already talked about the quality of generosity in our previous Dhamma talk. So you can review this one. Of course, when we are going to offer, we must be offered freely without any expectation. This is really meaningful for the receiver. If we can do this kind of charity, this kind of offering, we can say this is called jaga, or the qualifying jaga. So many divine beings were born in the Deva realms because of charity. Actually, we can find many stories in Vimanawatu, one of the small collections of Buddha's teaching. Okay, this one is already explained before. There's one. Now I will skip 5, the next one. Those deities were possessed of wisdom such that on dying here, and we are born there, and such wisdom is present in me too. This is the last part we call wisdom, in Pali Panya. Mostly, whenever the Buddha talk about Panya like this, at least it must be about the knowledge of arising and apparition in Vipassana. So there are many different ways of discernment in the practice. For example, there are 25 different methods when discerning the arising state of 5 aggregates. Similarly, there are 25 different ways of discernment when practicing or when discerning the aberration state of 5 aggregates. Altogether 50 way of discernment. So all the discernments are called wisdom. Mostly we might have this kind of knowledge, but at the least we must have this kind of knowledge. This is called wisdom, according to this context. So if we have this kind of quality, we can also recollect our own quality of divine beings. So briefly, we can understand 5 qualities. The first one, Saddha, confidence. Second one, Sila, morality. The third one, Sutta, learning knowledge. The fourth one is Jaga, generosity. The last one is Panya, wisdom. So we can recollect these qualities of divine beings. These are a little bit simple, right? We have to recall our own ability if we have possessed that kind of things in the past. So, okay, before we end this sessions, we have to this recollection. We also have to review all other recollections. So we have already explained the 6 recollections. These 6 recollections succeeded only in the noble disciples. So that means if noble disciple practice, they can practice successfully. But for our ordinary people, of course, it will be a little bit difficult for us to understand deeply because our knowledge is not that strong, right? Sometimes we have very strong knowledge. We can have very strong the devotions and the quality, or when we can understand the meaning very deeply, it's also possible to achieve asset concentration. Anyway, now we have the special quality of the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha are clearer and obvious in the noble person's mind. This is the one thing we have to know. So because they have unbroken precepts, and they also have a very pure generosity, although they have already attained path and fruition knowledge, they may have stronger devotion in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. They also have a generosity with the 6 quality, as mentioned above, we have mentioned in our previous Dhamma talk. Then they also have divine qualities. That is why if a noble person practice all these things, they can achieve easily. But for our ordinary people, it will take time. But what about other explanation in different sutras? Actually, we also have the benefit of recollection of Deva, right? So here, 1, he becomes dearly loved by Devas, which means Deva will love him. 2, he obtains even greater fullness of faith. That means stronger confidence. Then 3, he has much happiness and gladness. Actually, we also can experience the same things in our previous recollections. Then 4, he can be reborn in the higher destination, like Devarans or higher lives, or maybe better lifestyles, if they cannot attain headship in this very life. So these are the benefits. Then again, where we can find all these recollections, in which sutta we can find. And here I have a group of suttas. The first one is called Gera Sutta. But when we go and read in Anguttara Nikaya, it mentioned Anusati Thana Sutta. So we have different title. Mostly, we have in the blanket, Anusati Thana Sutta is a non-current version, in 6th concept version. We have this title. But in Visuddhimagga or another text, it also mentioned Gera Sutta. Okay, so now I will just the summary of Gera Sutta. By recollecting the qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, Sila, morality, Jaga, generosity, and Deva, divine beings, he cannot be upset by greed, hatred, delusions, and other hindrances. Actually, we have already explained all these things in every recollection in the past. And not only that, his mind has gratitude on that occasion. We have gratitude. We can also say honesty or sincerity. Also, we can say flexibility. His mind can incline to any meditation subject easily. Actually, we have already explained There's one in many of previous recollections, all the 6 recollections, except in the non-Devadanusati. So his mind is free from cupidity, we call Gera. Here Gera means 5 kinds of sensual pleasure. So that means if we can recollect one of these 6, our mind can be free from 5 sensual pleasure. That means although we don't enjoy sensual pleasure, we can also feel happiness, we can also feel gladness. Of course, when we are going to enjoy sensual pleasure, we must have some other existence, external things. For example, when we are going to watch TV, we must have electrical things, TV, satellite receiver, remote control, power supply. Many things are needed when we are going to enjoy sensual pleasure. So sometimes we may need our attendants, companies, associates, comedians, associates, or partners. So these are, we need some them or somebody to help us to enjoy sensual pleasure. But in the case of recollections, we ourselves can recollect our own quality or the quality of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and Jaga, Sila, and Deva. Then we can feel gladness and also happiness. So, okay, this from Gera Sutta. Then we have another sutta we call Mahaka Nasuta. This is also from Anguttara Nikaya. So in that sutta, Venerable Mahaka expounded that by recollecting the quality of the Buddha, as we mentioned, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, Jaga, Sila, and Deva, it will be for the purification of beings. Okay, here we have to think about that. We can purify ourselves by recollecting. Now we are going to talk about, okay, this part is about purification of minds. We can purify our minds. So metaphorically here we say purification of beings. Of course, we have a good mind, we have bad minds. We cannot be good all the times. But when we can do continuous recollections, we can be good all the times. That's why it can be for the purification of beings. Some mountain of sorrow and lamentation. Of course, if we can do very well when recollecting these things, then our mind can be free from sorrow and lamentation. Then again, for the engine of pain and grief, here in Pali we just call dukkha and domanassa. Okay, so let me dukkha means suffering, domanassa means mental pain. Here we have the pain and grief. Anyway, with bodily suffering, dukkha means, right, bodily pain. Domanassa means mental pain. So our mind can be free from bodily pain. We can be free from bodily pain and mental pain. We can also, sorry, we can make annual suffering by recollecting. Now for the attainment of the truth way, that means we can also understand the truth. We can also attain the true attainment. It will be for the realizations of Nibbana. So we can also realize Nibbana. So in reality, by recollecting this quality, we cannot attain Nibbana, but based on that, we can also continue practicing Vipassana. We can also attain path and fruition knowledge. This is according to Mahaka Nasuta. Then the next one, Uposatha Sutta. Actually, Uposatha Sutta is delivered by the Buddha to Visakha and her Dhamma friends. So in that discourse, the Buddha explained 3 types of Uposatha. Gopalaka Uposatha, Nikana Uposatha, and Ariya Uposatha. So 3 types of Uposatha. Okay, I have to elaborate a little bit more about these 3 Uposatha. For example, Gopalaka Uposatha, we call calm heart or calm mind Uposatha. So actually, a calm mind will think about where the cow and the bull were pastured. So he will bring all the cows and bulls a special place where they can drink well, they can eat well. They have to plant every day. He has to plant every day where he should sit the counts of the booth, where he should sit the cutoffs. Then in this way, there are some practitioners, they will observe the precepts, thinking what to eat today. But today I have eaten very well. Tomorrow, what kind of food should I eat? You know, thinking about their foods. If they observe the precepts, this is called Gopalaka Uposatha. The Nikanta Uposatha, Nikanta Uposatha. Nikanta means naked ascetics. We call Nikanta, right? So Nikanta also think about, they will explain, or they will guide their disciples, like to have kindness towards some living beings, but they don't teach kindness to all living beings. Similarly, now in some meditator, they may have like loving kindness towards some living beings, but no kindness to all living beings, right? So when we have this kind of perception, this kind of practicing, this is called Nikanta Uposatha. Now here we talk about Ariuposatha. This is the main point where the Buddha wish, what the Buddha wish in this context. The Buddha also explains how to observe the Ariuposatha. So is it observing the Uposatha by recollecting the qualities of Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, the Sila, Jaga, and Deva, divine qualities. So if we have these recollections, right, after observing precepts, this is called Ariuposatha. So we don't know in other traditions, but according to our tradition in Myanmar, since I was childhood, I had been to monastery together with my grandmother or my grandfather. So when they observe precepts in the monastery, after taking a precepts, they will count beads, you know, like a counting rosary. That means mostly they just do like a Buddha rosary, like Idipisabhagawa Arahant Sammasambuddha, one quality, one bead like this. They will do like this, that kind of recollection. Also, they will also read some Dhamma books. One of the Dhamma friends will read Dhamma books aloud. All other are listenings. So that means this is our tradition in Myanmar, but we don't know in other country. Anyway, the main thing is after taking precepts or after observing the precepts, if we can recollect one of these six, recollection of Buddha's quality, Dhamma's quality, Sangha's quality, morality, generosity, and divine qualities, is called Ariuposatha, according to Uposatha Sutta, delivered by Buddha to Visuddhimagga, one of the lady devotees. So this is the recollections. Then also we have the next part. We can also find these recollections in Mahaka Nasuta, Anguttara Nikaya, Book 11. Okay, briefly, but here when we talk about all these things, okay, according to the first one, Gera Sutta, right? So this means our mind must be free from sensual pleasure. Second one is by Venerable Mahakachayana. That one is by the Buddha to Visuddhimagga. Now the next one, the last one is about the same recollections, but to the Mahanama, also Anagami, noble disciples. So briefly, these six recollections are very common in the Buddha's teaching. We can find in many suttas and many other places also. But these are the six recollections. Now we have to continue the next one. Marina, mindfulness of death. So I think this one is not very desirable for the listener today, I think, right? Many people, they don't want to think about their death because they're scary, you know? There are many people, they don't want to do these kind of things. Even to reflect or to recollect impurity of their body, they don't want to do. They don't want to see their body as dirty, you know? They just want to see their body as clean and pure. This is a little bit problem for some meditators. Anyway, Now we talk about Maranasati or Maranasati. But mostly we can find the Pali spelling Maranasati. But sometimes we can also find Marananusati. Mindfulness on death. So in these recollections, that does not mean the momentary liberation or ultimate reality, Kanika Marana. So Kanika Marana can be found in the mental process. When we can learn mental process, we can know all the mind moments are arising and liberation very rapidly as a city. After rising and liberation, then the next one will arise and perish. The next one will arise and perish like this. So within one finger snaps, millions of mind moments can arise and perish continuously, non-stop. So this actually in the case of Maranasati, it must be concept death. We must not talk about ultimate reality. We must not talk about Nama Rupa. Be careful with that one. Of course, there's some way to discern the cutting off of the life faculties in the 10th moment. This is we can say this also Marana, but that's not only momentary arising, just cutting off. Okay, now the next one. The 10th moment of an arhat, we call Samudana. After passing away, the arhats will not be reborn anymore. That's why we call Samudana. We're going to do recollection of death about the death moment of the death on recollection of the death moment of an arhat. Then sometimes, although we have metaphorical usage as dead tree, we call Samuti Marana. The tree die, the grass die, something like that. This is only Samuti Marana. So we cannot do recollections of death, recollection on death, about the one after seeing the dying trees or dying plants or dying grass is not for that kind of practice. So here, it just means the end of life, the interruption of life faculty, and the death of living being. This is called Maranasati. So we must know it must be concept. Then we have 4 types of death, according to Buddha's teaching. 1, Kamakaya, exhaustion of karma. There are some people, they pass away when they are very young. They have very serious sickness and they pass away. That means their karma was over. Their karma cannot sustain their life, and they pass away. Then 2, Ayukaya, exhaustion of lifespan. There are some people or living beings, for example, nearly 100 years, right? Now, maybe 75 years or 80 years now. So after 80 years or 75 years, they will pass away. This exhaustion of lifespan. Their lifespan was over. Then 3, Upayakaya, exhaustion of both karma and lifespan. So we can combine together, right? Sometimes they can also live happily because of karma. Healthily, they can live for the karma. They also live according to lifespan, modern society. Then standard lifespan for modern society. Then they pass away. This is called Upayakaya. 4, Upachedaka, interrupted karma, such as death by accident. So we have these 4 types of deaths. The first 3 are called Kala Marana, timely death. Then the last one, Upachedaka, interrupted by karma. This one is called Akala Marana, untimely death. So any kind of death is when somebody passes away, or we also think about our own death moment. Now we can do recollection of death or mindfulness on death. Okay, now we must have wise intention. When we are going to practice, the recollection of death, we must be wise. So what is called wise attention? So if we are unwise in recollecting death of our beloved one, sorrow can rise. So we cannot feel happy, right? We have to recollect death moment of our beloved, like a father, mother, friends, relatives. Then we may feel sorrow. Then in recollecting the death of enemies, gladness can arise. Sure, sometimes when our enemies pass away, we will be happy. This is not really very good sign. Then in the recollection of death of indifferent persons, no sense of urgency may arise, as if a corpse burner sees a dead body. Sometimes we may see somebody on the way. We don't know who is he or who is she. Then we may not feel sense of urgency. That's just normal, you know. If we know recollection of death clearly, whoever passed away, we can feel sense of urgency. This is really important. The purpose of recollection of death is to have sense of urgency. If we don't have sense of urgency, not that much useful. So then again, in recollecting one's own death, anxiety may arise. So that means if we recollect our own death, anxiety may arise. We worry about our future, anxiety. So this is also not really a good sign. So if we have unwise intention, it will happen like that. When we have wise intention, then it will not happen. It depends on how wise we are. So mostly that kind of thing is not that much easy for beginners. Mostly we just teach them after practicing many of meditation subjects. Okay, now there are 4 ways to recollect the death. So we have to introduce this one. Marina Bhavisati. But sometimes we can also find the body Marina me Bhavisati. Death will take place. My death moment will take place. We can also do this kind of recollections. Then again, 2. Judindriya Upachachasati. The life faculty will be interrupted. So here we have to think about life faculty. So in our body, we have karma-produced materialities. Among them, in every karma-produced materiality, there are one of the ultimate reality. This is called life faculty, which sustains all other coexisting rupas, corporealities. So in our death moments, the life faculty will cut off. No more arising anymore. Then we can see it. We try to see it, and we can also recollect. Right, Judindriya Upachachasati, the life faculty will be interrupted. Then 3, Marina, death. This is also possible. Then 4, Jividame Aduam, Maraname Duam. Life is uncertain, death is certain. We can also recall it like this. These are the way we can recall it. Then, actually, there are many ways to recall it. Okay, now we have to continue the next part. There are 8 ways to recollect death. This is too much, right? But anyway, I have to introduce all these things. So, 1, here I also use a Pali, Vataka Pachupatthana Do, as having the appearance of a murderer. See how we can also understand one more thing? A murderer appear in front of us. So this is just simile. As if a murderer holding a sword follow us. Then we are leading to the death moment every single second. We have to understand like that. Actually, since we were born, we are going towards death moments day by day. Every single time we are moving towards death moments. This is also called Vadakapatupatana. As we have known that, every river, especially waterfall, for example, right? The water will run very fast. Similarly, we are running to the death moment very quickly, very rapidly, every single second. This also can be considered Vadakapatupatana. Okay, the main thing is, actually, here I didn't write down in Pali, but we also have some Pali, some way of recollection in Pali. For example, Marina me pachupatitam, Marina me pachupatitam. That means the death moment appears in me, like that. So we can also recall it like that. For the first one, number one, Vadakapatupatana do. Then two, Sampati Vipati do as the ring of success. So here I have already listed out how to recall it. Saban, Arogyam, Vyadi Priyosanam, all have ends and signets. So it's very clear, we don't need to explain. B, Saban, Yobanam, Jara Priyosanam, all use ends and agent. C, Saban Jividam, Marana Priyosanam, all life ends and death. Actually, here we can also say like a longevity, right? All the longevity can be ends and death also possible. But here, Jivita mostly life. That's why we translate as life. D, Sabha Sampati Vipati Priyosanam. All achievements ends in failure. These are the way we can recall it according to number two, Sampati Vipati Do. So when we can review or when we can see our death moment, we can do like this. We can recall all these things. Then okay, we have to continue the next one. Upa Samhara Do. Right? Upa Samharana Do by comparison. So these are three. So here, when we talk about Upa Samharana Do, one is a yasa. Yasa actually we have attendance or like a written use or fame. We can also say like we can have two different names. Here mostly yasami with like written use. Right? They cannot live their life. Also in death moment. So in this case, we call it even the people with very great fame, such as universal monarch, dying. Then, as ordinary people like us, we have to die. We have to understand like that. Then B, punya. So that means people with great merit, such as Jodika, rich people. So there are many rich people at the time of the Buddha. Yeah, Jodika, Jatila is the name of rich people at the time of the Buddha. But now we may have many, many rich people in modern society. You may have seen, you may have known some rich people, they pass away. So they have very great merit. They have accumulated very, very good, many good deeds in the past. They may have done many good things in this very life. Then they also have to pass away. We call punya. As ordinary people like us, we have to pass away. We have to die. So we have the next one, Mahatama. Mahatama means people with great strength, such as a great warrior who can win their opposition anywhere. So that means they can win in the battlefield. They can win their opposition anywhere. Although they have very strong strength, They are very strong, but they have to pass away. So this is called Mahatama. 80. The people with great supernormal power, such as Venerable Mahamoggallana. You have already known Venerable Mahamoggallana, how he passed away, right? I think many of Buddhist people know that story. Although he had very strong psychic power, in the death moments, he cannot hide anymore. When the time ripens, he cannot hide anymore. Then he has to pass away. This is called iti. Then panya. The people with great wisdom, such as Venerable Sariputta. You also have known Venerable Sariputta, how he passed away. So although he has very strong psychic power, after the Buddha, he is the strongest. He also has to pass away. Then the next one, Pachika Buddha. So Pachika Buddha also have psychic power. They also have knowledge. They also have wisdom, but they also have to pass away. Then the last one is Sammasambuddha. We call Sabya Buddha, right? Like our Gautama Buddha. He has all the qualifications. He has all types of attainments. What are the attainments? Or supramantin attainments. Although he has attained all types of attainments, he has to pass away. So that means everybody must die in brief. So we can recollect by comparison like this. Even the Buddha who has attained all the types of attainments has to pass away. As ordinary people like me, I have to pass away. I must pass away definitely, definitely, sure. Then we have to recollect like this by comparison. This is called in Pali, Upasarana door. Now we have the next group. Then, okay, here we have a Kaya Bahu Sadharana door, as to sharing the body with many. Actually, in Visuddhimagga, it mentioned many things about death. For example, we have many different types of worms, bacteria in the body. They can also cause. They also give me the cause of death. So actually, it mentioned many things about bacteria or virus, or we can also say like worms inside the body. So if we summarize, there are many causes of death. Then we can also understand there are many external causes of death. Right? Wherever we go, we cannot hide. In every single moment, we can die in any place. In the car, in the train, in the plane. Wherever we go, in the forest, in the village, in the city, everywhere, there can be our death moments. So there are many external causes. It can be our enemies. It can be our own sickness. It can be external weather or maybe other disaster or anything. So there are many external causes of death. This, if we can recollect, there are many external causes of death. This is also called Kaya Bahu Sadhana door. Not only that, there are many internal causes of death. We have many internal, for example, like a sickness. It comes from our body. We can die. We can be dying of any sickness. So this is called internal. Then one more thing. Any kinds of death can be destructions of training. We can also understand like that. So when we pass away, we're going to train anymore. Any kind of death, we have already said, Ayukaya, Gamakaya, right? We have already talked about death, different types of death. Whatever the ways or the kinds of death we have or we encounter, it can be for the distractions of training. After death moment, we are not sure we can train or not. Now we have enough time to train ourselves. So this is called Kaya Bahu Sadharana 5. Ayu Dobala. So here we can also say, okay, here let's do the frailty of life. Then, as we have mentioned before, there are many causes of death, right? Actually, in this part, it also mentioned that death can occur when in and out breath is found, occurring unevenly. So that means sometimes we have in-breath, no more out-breath, right? Only between in and out-breath, there can be death moment. Sometimes out-breath, no more in-breath. The last in-breath, the last out-breath possible, right? Then within only few seconds between in-breath and out-breath, there can be death moments. Then next one is that the death can occur when the four postures are found occurring unevenly. Sometimes we cannot balance our posture. We can pass away anytime. Not only that, there can be the last sitting, the last standing. For example, when the Buddha was going to enter Nirvana, the last place, he lying down. The last lying down, no more getting up. One of the posture. So anyway, the main thing is if we cannot balance our controlling faculties, we can die anytime. This means the frailty of our life. Then again, the death can occur when heat and cold are found occurring unevenly. Sometimes our body have both heat and cold. If we cannot balance these two, we can pass away. We can die anytime. Then the next one, we also have like a death moment that can occur when the four primary elements are found occurring unevenly. So previously we just talked about heat and cold. There's only 5 elements, right? Now 4 elements: stiffness, with the hardness, softness, lightness, all the 4 elements. If we cannot balance 4 elements, if one of the elements become very excessive, we can die. So this is called Ayudobalato. Okay, now the last one about Ayudobalato again. The death can occur when we cannot get nutriment at the proper time. Sometimes we need nutriment, we cannot get in the proper time, we can pass away. This is called Ayudobalato. As to the frailty of life. Then again, we have the next one, 6. Animitato, as signless. Because that means there are no foretelling sign for us for our death moment. Actually, in Buddha's teaching, we can also find one stanza. In that stanza, it also mentioned Jividam, Bhari, Kalocha, and so forth. Okay, I will not recite the stanza here. So I will just collect the information from that stanza. The first one, Jivita. Here, Jivita means lifespan. So we cannot know our lifespan. We cannot know in which age we must pass away. We must die. No foretelling sign for it. That's why it's called animita. Now, another one is Vyadi, sickness. We cannot know which sickness will cause our death. No foretelling sign for it. That's why we call animita. Then kala, the time. So here, when we talk about the kala, the time, it also means, for example, we have to know that which time, when we are going to pass away. Especially, that one is not that easy, right? But when we have very strong concentration is possible to know that kind of things, but mostly we cannot know that. Okay, the main thing here, the timing, it can be day or night. What time? Even we talk about the day, right? It can be in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, and night also in the first watch of the night, second watch of the night, the last watch of the night. In which time we are going to die, we cannot know. This is also called we call it animita. No foretelling sign for it. Next one is deha nikipana. In Pali we call deha nikipana. That one is where our body will be laid. We can also say another way, where this body must be thrown away after death. That means we must know where's our channel ground, right? Where our body will be burned or buried. We got deha nikipana. So we don't have any foretelling sign for it. This is called animita. Among the animita, the last one is gati, the destination. After death, we cannot know our destination, where we will be born. So for these 6, we don't have any. So no, there are 5. These 5, we don't have any foretelling sign. The last one is called animita, signless. So we can recollect as signless of lifespan, sickness, the time, where our body, the channel ground, we can say briefly, channel ground, and also destination. We can also recollect as animita. Then 7. Adana Brichita Do. As to the limitedness of the extent. So here in this case, actually, we have many different explanations about it. It will take a little bit longer time. Anyway, I will try my best to summarize all the information. So sometimes we may limit the time. There are some Buddha teaching, because we should wish, right? That means we should wish for our practice. So our death moment can be any time, right? I think you may have known that one. If your head is burned by fire, don't extinguish that fire first. Trying to practice vipassana in order that you may know the arising and perishing knowledge. That is it, the way Buddha wish. Anyway, so in Anguttara Nikaya, we also talk about many different types of practice, how we should expect our life, right? So we must die one day, but let me live a night and a day that I may attend the Blessed One's teaching. We must wish that kind of things. So a night, we can say 24 hours. Then next one, let me live a day that I may attend the Blessed One's teaching. We can say 12 hours, right? We can also wish like this because we can die anyway, right? If we are going to die, we must wish that kind of things. Then now we have opportunity, we must use our opportunity to practice. Another one, let me live a half day. Here we can say 6 hours that I may attend the Blessed One's teaching. So it will be shorter, right? Another one, let me live a meal time. According to modern society, we can like a meal break maybe, right? So let me live a period of meal break that I may attend the Blessed One's teaching. So let me, for example, in lunchtime, we have some break, right? In the workplace, you may have break time for lunch. That period is for meditation. We can wish like that. The next one, let me live a half hour meal time. Let me have a meal break that I may attend the Blessed One's teaching. Okay, now the next one. let me live as long as it takes to choose 4 or 5 mouthfuls, that I may attain the Blessed One's teaching. So only 4 or 5 mouthfuls. It's too short, right? Then we must wish like this. Another one, let me live as long as it takes to chew a single mouthful, that I may attend the Blessed One's teaching. Next one, let me live as long as it takes to breathe in, breathe out, that I may attend the Blessed One's teaching. So here we can say only in out breaths, a short time. That means every single in out breath we must practice. It doesn't mean only for breathing meditation, right? It also can be any other meditation. Every single breathing is meaningful because this is our life. So, which means when we have opportunity, we have to practice diligently. Okay, next one, 8. Kana parita do, as to the shortness of the moment. So the one, what's really called shortness of the moment? If we know Abhidharma, we have already learned the lifespan of ultimate reality, mentalities, and materialities. So the first one, we have to talk about the lifespan of life faculty, right? But actually, okay, when we go and read in Visuddhimagga translation, and only one mind moment was like that. But in reality, the lifespan of life faculties lasts 17 mind moments. We can understand like that. So although we say 17 mind moments, is shorter than 1 finger snap, shorter than 1 second, maybe nanosecond, maybe it can be like a nanosecond, it will last only a nanosecond, or maybe shorter than a nanosecond. So lifespan is very short. That's called kana brita do. This for about materialities. Now what about mentalities? Of course, lifespan of mental aggregates are shorter, right? So, for example, it will last only 1 mind moment: arising, standing, and perishing. Only 3 moments, 3 sub-moments. It also shorter than nanoseconds. So, lifespan of like a pleasant or unpleasant feeling. Sometimes we feel happiness, we also feel unhappiness. All the feeling also lasts only 1 mind moment, only short moments. But it will arise and perish many times. That's why we think that we are happy for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, like that. But in reality, shorter than nanoseconds. They arise and perish many times. Rapidly arise and perish many times. So these are the way we have to understand according to Visuddhimagga. So altogether, we have 8 different ways of recollection of death, 8 different ways to recollect death, according to Visuddhimagga. It's too much now, right? Anyway, although it doesn't mention in Visuddhimagga, we have very well-known discourse. Everybody knows the one. There's a Mahaka Nasuta. We need the next one, the next slide. In Mahaka Nasuta, the Buddha explains how to practice recollection of death in the chapter of 9 types of corpse. I think you may know 9 channel ground. Mostly, almost all the meditator study Mahaka Nasuta. Many of people thought that this is not recollection of death, this is practicing of Asubha meditation. Of course, it also mentioned many different types of Asubha. many different types of corpse, dead body. Actually, we have already talked about asava meditation earlier, right? That's why we will not talk about asava here. But anyway, they are mentioned how to practice recollection of death when seeing dead body or corpse. So, okay, for example, I will use only one of the dead body. After 2 or 3 days, the body will be mostly some black spots in the body. Mostly it can be like a red color because of blood or something like that. Also, body is a little bit swelling. When seeing that kind of dead body, then we can also review our dead body. We can replace our body, the dead body there. Then we can recollect. Ayambi kayo, ewan dhamma. This body too, such is its nature. We can recollect like that. So this is the way Buddha explained in Satipatthana Sutta. Then 2, Ayambi kayo, ewan bhavi. This body too, such is its future. That means our body will happen like this. Then 3, Ayambi kayo, ewan natito. This body too, such is unavoidable fate. That means we cannot avoid this kind of things. Right? Anatito, we cannot overcome this kind of moment. One day it will happen to our body. So we have to recollect death in these 3 ways according to Satipatthana Sutta. So when we are going to practice asava meditation, we can also do asava meditation according to Satipatthana Sutta, according to Visuddhimagga. They are almost the same. For about Marina, it will be different. Anyway, before our death moment, we have to try for ourselves. Must get ready, right? Rehearse for our death moment. Then when seeing death body, we can replace our body there, and we can also recollect any of these recollections according to Visuddhimagga or according to Satipatthana Sutta. We can also choose any way or any method. The main thing is we must have sense of urgency after recollection. So if we cannot feel sense of urgency after recollections, then sure, this is not useful, right? This is not really useful practice. So briefly, this one is we can also feel sense of urgency. We can also attain asset concentration because we have to think about death moments, life faculty cut off, interrupted life faculties. So if we can recollect very well, as we have mentioned before, our mind can be free from greed, hatred, delusions, and other hindrances. We can also feel bliss, gladness, tranquility, rapture, joy, concentration, up to asset concentration. So, okay, briefly, this is also very deep and very profound. We cannot attain jhana. We can attain only asset concentration. Then we have to proceed about the benefits of recollection of death. It will be the last part. So, by practicing recollection of death, what will be the benefits? It's very really interesting, right? Then he acquires perceptions of disenchantment with all kinds of existence. So we will not love any kind of life. We know anybody's life will be end in death. Any kind of lifestyles will be end in death. That's why no more acquires, right? Then also he conquers attachment to life. So that means If we have attachment to the life, sure, we may have many other suffering. If we don't have attachment to the life, we are more enduring. We can also practice more diligently. Then 3, he condemns evils. So here in this case, we can say he dislikes evil deeds. And he avoids. 4, he avoids much storing. Okay, here storing means according to the lifestyle, we may have different storing, right? For a bhikkhu, we may store the requisites, right? Like a roads, buildings, like a foods, medicines. We will store many other properties for our life or for our living, surviving. So if we practice recollection of death, we will not have attachment to that kind of things. We will not store many things. Not only that, he has no stains or avarice about requisites. That means no more jealousy, no more stinginess, no more possessiveness about requisites. So sometimes we are unwilling to share our properties, right? But now, when we can recollect death, then we can share our properties easily. This is also one of the quality. Then 6, the perceptions of impermanence grows in him. Because of course we are recollecting death moment. We also understand impermanence easily. That is why the perceptions of impermanence will be stronger in his mind. He could understand impermanence, the nature of impermanence, clearer, better than other people. Then 7, the perceptions of suffering and non-self can easily appear in him. Okay, one more thing here. So, actually in the practice, when our inside knowledge becomes very strong and powerful, when one of the characteristics, anicca, become very clear, the remaining 3, dukkha, anatta, also clear, naturally. So now in his case, because of recollection of death, the perceptions of suffering and the perceptions of non-selves can easily appear in his mind. This is also one of the benefits. Then again, the next one. Then he died undiluted and fearless. This is also one of the benefits. So if we are not very mindful, sure, we can die with delusion, with bewilderment. If we are mindful, then we can pass very mindfully. Also, no more fear. He will die undiluted and fearless. This is also another benefit. But on the last one, 9, he can be reborn in the higher destination after death if he cannot attain the ship. It is very life. This is also the benefit of practicing. Okay, now, when should we do recollection of death? In reality, we have already explained many things about, right? Recollection of Puranosity, Dhammanosity, and so forth. Sometimes when we get lost our confidence, we should practice recollection of Buddha's quality. When we have many plans and projects to continue, then we should do recollection of death. If we know we are going to die tonight, sure, we can stop all our plans and projects. We will be more diligent to meditate. As you have known that recollection of death is also one of the practice we have to do every day. We call Sapataka, we can carry, we can bring it everywhere. We can carry on practicing everywhere. In any situation, whenever our mind power becomes weaker or decline. Sometimes we need some sort of urgency. We also need confidence. According to the situation, we have to train many different ways. This is called like a sapataka, right? Then one more thing here about recollection of death. I have talked to many people about that. When we are going to earn money, we have to try very hard as if we will never die. When we are going to meditate, we have to try very hard as if we were dying today or tomorrow. So now when we can recollect death, we may have more sense of urgency, then we can be more diligent, because sense of urgency is the primary cause of effort, energy. So it will produce energy. Okay, so now there will be the end of session. May you all be able to practice the Buddha's teaching, and also may you all be able to realize the inner suffering, final cessation, Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have been to a long retreat, 40 days, and came back feeling very different. I don't get any happiness or pleasure from my daily activities that used to feel good. I feel a deep sense of dissatisfaction and disappointment in everything, and just want to distract myself with entertainment. My view of the world completely changed, and it hurts to see that my old dreams and fantasies were just an illusion. I feel a sense of fear and anxiety, even at the thought of meditation, and I can't motivate myself to sit down. I had a very strong experience in the retreat where all I saw was dukkha in everything, even my own body and mind. That had a huge impact on my mind. Number one, is there such a thing as going too deep and seeing things that I am not ready to see yet? Number two, I fear that this anxiety and aversion to meditation will distract me from the path. How can I make sure to stay on the path and deal with this fear and anxiety? Number three, how can I face the world when I know it is all full of craving and defilements? I would really appreciate your advice. Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, so very long questions, also a very long topic, right? Anyway, sometimes if we haven't known or experienced new things, we can also say another way. If we have found better things, then we are willing to give up all things. But as long as we are in the community, we're going to give up that easy. This is the one thing we have to understand. For example, when you have family, you're going to give up your family easily because you have responsibility. So, okay, we have different value according to traditions and the place. According to Buddha's teaching, for example, morality. This is one of the value. So when we talk about morality, we have two different things. The first one is abstinence. Second one is responsibility, or like a performing duties. If we can do these two things, we can say here's a moral. So actually, you must choose your own value. Now, sometimes your aim is to meditate. Sure, you can meditate. But there are many other value you should have. Okay, one more thing. Here in the question mentioned, right? One, what is the one? Is there such a thing as going too deep and seeing things that I am not ready to see yet? Okay. Actually, if you have seen it, we're gonna say not yet ready. You have to see it, sure. We're gonna say not yet ready, right? Is it ready? But the main thing is don't misuse your experience. Another one is it, okay, you don't have like a sensual enjoyment. You don't have any desire to enjoy sensual pleasure. This is a good sign. It doesn't matter. What about fear and anxiety? That one is not really very good, not very good sign. So one more thing. In this case, to overcome fear and anxiety, there are many ways to do, many things to do. For example, now you can do your own quality. You can also recollect your own quality. You have done many good things before you start meditating. Trying to recall all the good things you have done for your society, your community, or for your family or your relatives. Then if you can recall all the things, you can also feel happiness. Then that one will be useful for your future. Okay, another one is, like a craving and a defilement. Sure, without craving, without defilement, we cannot have any enjoyment. All the enjoyments come from defilements. So in your case, you cannot, so far you haven't uprooted all the defilements yet. Sure, you know the weakness, the disadvantages of craving and defilements. Is it good enough for current situation? Okay, now if we summarize all this, to overcome anxiety, then you can recollect good quality you have done. Also trying to rejoice all the things you have done. Then it will be okay for anxiety. Another one is for meditations and for daily activities, you must have your time management. You can have to manage your time. Which time I have to do? For example, you have to do for your family, you have to do for meditation. So in your case, sometimes you wish to meditate more. Okay, you have to settle all other things first. After settling all the things, you can emphasize on meditation. Time management is also important for you in your case. Okay, I think it's enough for today, right? Next one.
Let me see, for Rupa Kalapa, the Kanika arising and perishing of Rupa Kalapa, because of that, it is anicca, dukkha, anatta. And because of this arising and perishing of Rupa Kalapa, then there is this Sandati Samuha and Kicca Gana. So is this understanding correct? Is this understanding correct? Means
okay.
Okay.
Actually, Sandati is okay because you can see as a mental process is called Sandati Gana, right? For about Kicca Gana, you have to discern the characteristics, function, manifestation, proximate cause of every single materiality. Then you can also know Kicca Gana. Otherwise, you cannot know Kicca Gana. Okay. Next one.
Next question. By taking the non-pasada rupa and discern the basic rupa. Sorry, by taking the non-translucent kalapa to discern the 8 type of basic rupa, he finds that the pasada kalapa is easy to take, but the non-translucent kalapa is not easy. So how to discern easily the non-translucent rupa kalapa?
Actually, in the very beginning, you have to do overall. For example, harness in all the rupa kalapas, harness in one kalapas. Okay, so if we say 8, you have to do one by one first. So first, one of the earth elements in all kalapas, earth element in one kalapas. You can do alternatively many times. If you can see well, you can discern 2 of elements in all kalapas and one kalapas like this. So you can add one by one like this. Then if you can discern clearly, okay, you can also discern only single kalapas continuously. It's possible. So whenever you have difficulty, you have to restart as it, right? one by one. Every rupas one by one. In any kalapas, translucent or translucent, it will be possible to see. Okay?
问到米西亚多，请老师简要讲讲。米西亚多 please listen.米西亚多 please explain briefly what is the relationship between 觉知 between the knowing, discerning, and Vijnanati. What is a relationship? And there is this saying, knowing is through thoughts, feelings, and emotions.
Okay.
So can I understand that mind and mental factors as background in order to know or to know through our thoughts? Knowing according to Abhidharma, and what is the relationship of knowing and mind according to Abhidharma? This is the first question.
Okay, according to Abhidharma, mind has the nature of knowing. The characteristic of mind is consciousness is knowing, knowing the objects. This is very simple. So one more thing, if we talk about, there are three types of knowing. Perception also know the objects, but differently. Perception will know the size or the shape or the color of the sign. It will mark. We can say like a marking. Perception will mark. If we can understand deeply, then it will be wisdom, panya. Or it depends on situation. We have three types of things, right? Like knowing with mind, knowing with perception, knowing with wisdom. It can be any of three. Okay, next one.
Second question. Can Sayadaw please explain in the Chitta Vitti, there are Bhavanga, Javana, and Tatramana. What are these?
Oh, this one is the Abhidharma question, right? Okay. So actually, Bhavanga is just like a between two mental process, then Bhavanga mind states. Then not only that, if we don't have any particular consciousness, like when we are sleeping, we won't have sound sleep. Then we don't know any particular object at the time, Bhavanga mind states. We can understand like that. Similarly, like when we are unconscious, so sometimes it will be Bhavanga mind states. Now the last part about Dhararamana or Javana. So Javana will know the one is actually the main part of mental process. When we talk about good and bad, wholesome or unwholesome, it comes from Javana mind moments. Okay, we can say emotion mind moment. This is called Javana. What about the Dharamana? The Dharamana just follow the Javana. It's just only resetting consciousness. So like, okay, we have one simile. When a speedboat just drive, like go upstream in high speed, then many water will follow the speedboats. After that, it will just go downstream again, which means it will follow the speedboats upstream for a while. After that, it will go down. It will go downstream. Similarly, the Dharamana just follow the Javana like waves go upstream following the speedboats. After that, Bhavanga mind state, right? The following downstream again. Okay, anyway, the main thing is Javana are the main points, the main part of mental process. Then Dharana is not the main part of mental process. It just follows Javana. Okay, next one.
Dear Sayadaw, when we practice recollection of Deva, do we need to take the image of the Deva, from example, a Deva picture?
In this case, we don't need to review any of divine beings. We just need to review our own quality. We don't need to see any picture. It's okay. All right, next one.
Dear Sayadaw, about the recollection of death practice. First question, what is life faculty? How do we see the life faculty cut off?
Okay. So one more thing here. If we talk about life faculties, then I've already said that one. When we design ultimate materialities, and the previous question also asked about 8 primary materialities, right? We'll say Avayunabhaga Rupa, unseparable Rupas. So we have to see all types of characteristics in one single kalapas. Among them, among many kalapas, there are karma produce kalapas. In the karma produce kalapas, there are life faculty. So life faculty means life faculty will sustain or maintain coexistent materialities. For example, life faculty will support and maintain lifespan of earth elements, water elements, fire elements, wind elements, color, sound, smell, taste, tangible objects, the nutriments, lifespan of all coexistent materialities. It can sustain. This is called life faculties. We can find in translucent kalapas. Every translucent kalapas also we can also find in some of untranslucent kalapas. Mostly when we are produced by karma. So all of them are produced by karma. So the main thing is that when we pass away, no more kamacha rupa arise in our death body. Only temperature produced materiality will arise in our body. So how to see, right? Here I mentioned. How to see means we can see our heart materialities, our heart base, like we can mind states there. We can move forwards up to our death moment. In the death moment, then life faculty will stop. No more brightness in our heart base. Then also no more. That means no more brightness of our mind too. We can say like that, right? Bhavanga mind states. No more there. No more brightness. It will stop totally. The life faculty also stop there totally. We can see it there at the moment of death. This is called seeing life faculty cut off. Okay. Another one is it?
Okay,
2.
Question: what is the failure of this practice?
Okay, so here I have already talked about, unwise intention or wise attention. For example, after practicing, after recollection of the death body for our beloved one, right? We may have sorrow arise. This is failure. No, so similarly, when we feel happiness in recollecting death of our enemies, then this is also failure. So in recollecting death of indifferent persons, then we not feel sense of urgency. That's also failure, right? Then our own death, recollecting our own death, when we feel anxiety, this is also failure. Okay, that means we are not successful.
If someone make wish, can she wish like this? May all beings becomes the supportive conditions for the meditator.
Okay, you can wish anything, it doesn't matter. But don't expect too much, right? Okay, now, next one.
Vandami Siaro, on the practice of Marana Sati, you propose that even the great arahants like our Buddha, Venerable Moggallana, and Venerable Sariputta will pass away one day. First question, but isn't it their pass away signifying the end of all suffering without remainder, as they have attained the unborn or deathless?
Okay, in case of recollection of death, we should not talk about suffering or anything, right? Sure, this is end of suffering, sure. But we are not talking about end of suffering. We just talk about death. And we cannot avoid death. Even Venerable Moggallana cannot avoid death. This is the main points. Okay? Next one.
Second question, how could that reflection remind us of the sense of urgency?
Okay. So that means sometimes we wish to be free from death. This is also called sense of urgency. For example, in the case of Bodhisattva, before renunciation, so he saw a old people, also ill people, also like a dead body, right? After that, he has very strong sense of urgency. He will be free from all these things, we are going to encounter. One day we might see this kind of things. One day we might encounter that kind of things. When we feel like that, that's called sense of urgency. If we to be free from it, there's also a sense of urgency. Okay?
A person who is observing the Sila, can he eat breads or cakes that has ingredients of eggs? If he eat such cakes or bread that has the ingredients of eggs, would he commit any offense?
Okay, as long as we didn't order this kind of things, it will be okay. If we order it, right, they have to bake for us, then we can say this is we can say like a killing other living beings. We shouldn't order, right? Just like a ready-made cake, then it will be okay, no really big problem.
In his work, in his job, the boss always need to tell lie or all types of behavior that have committed an offense for the benefits. So if as a worker, if he refuses, then he will lose his work. So if he follows the wish of his boss, but paying attention that this is not my intention to do, it is my boss that's asking me to do, would that be okay?
Okay, in this case, we have to think about how harmful for other people. But how the detriment of other people, right? By telling lie like this, although you are forced by your boss, right? By telling lie, it's very harmful for other people. Then it's also akusala. It's not very harmful, not really big problem. So it does not depends on your perception, right? Okay, your perception is good enough, but not come from perception. It comes from detriment, the defilements, the effects. It happened, right? Although another one is the moral value of the listeners. So it depends on many other situations. We can say strong or weak. Okay?
Seattle, in a meeting, in order to prevent disharmony or conflicts in the meeting, so during the meeting, or before or after the meeting, he tried to voice up the opinions of protecting the animals. So would that be helpful in avoiding killings? I mean, or in avoiding committing the Sila of killing?
In the meeting me? No, not quite clear. What is it?
Yeah, I'm also not so clear about this question.
Sure, not quite clear.
Yeah. That means I think in the meeting he will not directly mention the idea of protecting animal, but before and after the meeting, he tried to mention it. But before and after the meeting, he tried to mention to protect the animal in order to avoid panadipada. But in the meeting, he didn't mention it because he wants to avoid conflicts in the meeting. Maybe in the meeting they will discuss about the panadipada, but he did not voice it out, but he voiced it out before and after. So would that be helpful in observing this panadipada?
Okay, this means you are helping other people to observe precept. This is good enough. Okay.
Next one, Vandami Seattle. How can we prevent untimely death? Can reciting characters of Buddha become one of the protection factor?
Actually, if we have karma, it's almost impossible. But one more thing, like if we have very strong wholesome karma in this very life, we call Payoga Sampati. Payoga Sampati means when we have right actions most of the time. Most of our actions are good. When we have Payoga Sampati, then our karma, good karma becomes stronger. Our past karma becomes stronger. It can prevent bad karma of the past. It can support good karma of the past. That's why in this way, we can also protect partly But if karma is very powerful, it's impossible to protect. Okay, next one.
Next question. Is killed by someone considered untimely death?
Sure, this also. If somebody is killed by another people or assassinated, then we can also say untimely death. We also call upachitaka karma, right? The next one.
To practice Marana Nusati, does he need to go and see a dead corpse? And second, during the practice of Marana Nusati, should he try to know his own body too?
Okay, so here we have many different ways of recollection of death. For example, now so should go and see the death. Actually, in the Asura meditation, we have already talked about how to go and see the dead body, the corpse, right? But now in the case of Maranasati, we don't need to do it. If we have seen dead body, any dead body, we can replace ourselves there as a dead body. Then it's good enough. Then this is the one way, just replace our body as a death. Then this is one way. Another one is, now I have already mentioned, just trying to recollect our death moments, like moving, designing namarupas forwards up to death moments. Now, when we can know the life faculty stop there or interrupted, we can understand death moments. When seeing that, we can also do recollection of death. So there will be different ways, right? Seeing death body, we can replace ourselves, or just trying to see life faculty interrupted. It can be different ways. Then we don't need to go and see dead body. Okay, next one.
Yes, Yado. In the chanting book of PAMC, 3 recollections of Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha are included, but other 3 collections, especially recollection of Deva, are not included. Why the collection of Deva not included as the 6 recollections in many chanting books?
Actually, these 6 recollections are not very common in many traditions. Also, we cannot find in any chanting books. I have already mentioned the sutta we can find, right? Like, for example, the Anusati Sutta, Anusati Thana Sutta, Uposatha Sutta, all these things are just for Dhamma talk, not for recollection. We cannot find this recollection very easily. That's why we don't use as a recollection. We don't use as chanting books. The Buddha quality, Dhamma's quality, Sangha qualities are very common, because even in our taking precepts, we have to do Buddha Saranang Gacchami, Dhamma Saranang Gacchami, Sangha Saranang Gacchami, right? We have to know Buddha's quality, Dhamma's quality, Sangha's quality, even when we can take refuge. But for about other recollections, it's not that important like Buddha Nosati. That's why we didn't mention in the chanting books. Okay?
For doing business on this food, selling food. So if we buy meat from the markets and not through ordering, this type of business, would that not consider committing the offense of panadibada?
Sure. If we don't order, just go to the markets buying ready-made, right? This is okay. We don't ask anybody to key. We are safe. It will be okay, right? Next one.
Okay, next question. Dear Sayadaw, for the practice of recollection of death, can we take corpse of animals?
Okay, but it doesn't mention the corpse of animal. It just mentioned the corpse of human being in Maturities Sutta, right? So if you use, it's possible, but no, we should use only human being dead body. We eat animals' meat. Suddenly it will be attachment. Be careful. Right?
Is during a meeting, a committee meeting, a person who observe the precepts, participate in the meeting and try to participate in the discussions that may involve killing animals. So this committee meeting, after the meeting, he tried to mention that the discussion again, and saying that this must be done by protecting the animal. So would this consider not committing the offense of Pranatipada?
Okay, well, yeah, in this case, we have to think about a little bit more, right? We have to think about something a little bit more. For example, if you agree in the meeting, they will think that you also agree, right? So sometimes we have to speak out. So if unnecessarily, don't go to that kind of meeting. We can say like that. So it depends on many other situations, right? If they agree, although you don't say in the meeting, after meeting you may talk about to protect meeting. You may encourage them to protect meeting. If they follow your advice, it's okay. No killing. But if you agree in the meeting, this is the problem. In the case of akusala, we have we ourselves killing, or we encourage other people, or we happy when somebody is killed, or like we praise when somebody kill, or like another one is like we agree, we agree when somebody kill another living beings. All these are called Pranatipada. That's why when we have to speak, or it depends on ingredients. Some of the ingredients come from fruits. Then we have to consider as a food. That means it depends on material. It depends on ingredients. We have to decide, right? We cannot say exactly. Okay, next one.
Vladimir said also, so in all the supplement and vitamin, is that considered the food or the medicine? Vladimir, thank you, said all. Yes.
Or it depends on ingredients. Some of the ingredients come from fruits. Then we have to consider as a food. That means it depends on material. It depends on ingredients. We have to decide, right? We cannot say exactly.
Yes, Yado. When the yogi has achieved the higher vipassana gnana, he already has the faith, virtue, learning, generosity, and wisdom. If he passes away without achieving arahantship, does he be born as a deva with all the 5 qualities?
Okay, so it depends on his inclination. For example, like Bimbisara, he was a noble person, but when he passed away, he was born in very lower deva because he has been born that exists in many lives. Similarly, it depends on your inclination. For example, you may have a jhana. If you wish to be reborn in the Brahma worlds, it can be, but it also can be. If you have intention to be reborn in the Deva realms, also possible by entering into asset concentration. It depends on many other situations or the moment, what you expect in that moment. So it can be different, right? Also possible, if you are born as a Deva, there will be 5 qualities, okay?
This is a question regarding the committee meeting, discussing about the killing of animals. And after the meeting, he tried to mention the idea of not to protecting animal. So he repeat again the question. He said in the meeting he didn't mention whether he's agree or not agree. But after the meeting, he tried to tell the committee that everyone must protect animals. So would that not consider committing Pranatipada?
Okay, so that means if you disagree, okay, I have already said that one.
He didn't disagree, sorry. He didn't mention his standpoint.
Okay, yeah, actually it must be clear, The main is your mind, agree or disagree. This is one thing you have to make it clear. So I have talked about killing. We ourselves killing, ask other people to kill. Then we also say we are happy or we praise other people's killing. Also, we agree with other people's killing. Then if we have one of these actions, we call this Pranatipada. In your case, it depends on your mind. You agree or disagree. Okay?
Yes, Yado. Is contemplating on Abhidharma Sutta same as contemplating on Marina
Sati. Okay. Actually, Abhidharma Sutta is not like a Marina Sati. Abhidharma Sutta is the 5 recollection, right? 5 contemplation. It will be different from Marina Sati. Marina Sati, there are some other recollections. You have to know, like our death moments where take place or something like that. Different way of recollections. That it will be different things. Okay. Next one.
Good question. Can contemplating on stages of the dead body or visualizing dead body give the same sense of urgency?
Okay, contemplating the state of dead body. This actually, if we just try to see dead body, it can be asubha, you know. In the case of asubha, it would be repositiveness meditation. If we think about their death moment, death state, right? Death moment. So we can also say like their life can be cut off and so forth. Then we have sense of urgency. We can say this is also called, this is also possible, right? For about sense of urgency, it depends on how wise we are. If we are wise, we can feel sense of urgency. If we are unwise, we're gonna feel sense of urgency. It comes from our wisdom, okay?
Yes, Sir. Vanami said, in the 16 jnana, so the first 3 jnana in Vipassana, so discerning the Nama Rupa and Patisambhidamagga and arising and passing away, can that achieve by just learning knowledge without practicing?
It's impossible by learning knowledge, right? We must practice. One more thing, if we have learned, it will be easier for us to practice all these things. We can just say, by learning, it make us easy. But without practicing, we cannot achieve it. Okay?
Vandami Sayadaw, whenever I am contemplating Maranasati, usually the dead body will go on to decaying stages, which is another practice on the Kayanupanasana. But such contemplation is much easier to gain concentration. Is it advisable to do so?
Okay. So it depends on your main objects. If you are practicing Maranasati as a main object, you must try to do Maranasati. Your main object is a Kanubasana, you can do Kanubasana, like decay of dead body, right? It will be okay. So Ogyans is advisable to do. Ita wata ja'amehi sambadam bunya sambadam sabbe deva numodandu sabbe buddha numodandu sabbe satta numodandu sabba sambati siddhya idamme nyatinam hotu sukhita hondu nyadayo idamme nyatinam hotu Sukhita hondu nyadayo idamme nyatinam hodu Sukhita hondu nyadayo idamme punyam asawakaya waham hodu idamme punyam nibbanasa bhajayo hodu mama punya bhagam sabbasatanam bhajemi te sabbe me samam Punya Bhagam Labandu Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu.